Howdy, I'm CyberX with Outlandishly Crafted. And today we're gonna be talking about time. How to do things when things are the right time or the wrong time and don't do things. And we're gonna put it all together so that you too can have beautiful shooting stars shooting through your night skies. Or clouds. Look at those beautiful clouds coming out at night. Oh, the stars. Look at those stars. Oh, look, there's moons and all kinds of stuff. Now, all of this changes at nighttime. It all comes out and the dust particles and the stars come out, and it's all different than if it's daytime. And so different things can happen at night or after rain or after a thunderstorm. All kinds of different triggers can be done. And so that's what we're going to jump right into now is how do we do all of this amazing stuff, and it's so much easier than I bet you think. So here we go. Let's jump over it to bridge. That doesn't matter if you're using bridge or not because it's all the same. JSON's the same. This is just showing it in an easier way for me to do it. So what we're doing is we're using a behavior pack AC. Yep, that's right. A behavior pack animation controller that's attached in to the player. And if you haven't seen how that's done before, let's jump over and pull up our player. So we're going to pull up our player entity. And in our player entity, we are going to, we got to find it. Oh, that's functions. I normally have all these open already for you. Sorry. Wasn't planning to show this one. You can always watch my other videos for how to do this, but all we do for the animation controller is we list it under animations in the player's brain, i.e. the behavior pack entity of the player, and then we just turn it on with a 1, so it's always running in here. Okay, so that's how we set it up. And we jump over, and so now we've got our animation controller. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with an initial state of state picker. We're going to say, okay, you're going to use a state picker. Now, the reason why we use a state picker, now some people might say, well, let's just start at day or just start at night. Well, when the player leaves the game and comes back into the game, the animation controller is in essence a type of script or a behavior system, and so it needs to detect what the current time of day is. You don't want it to just make it one thing, and so this will help it detect that. So what happens is you join the game, it comes in here, it runs it, it says, okay, is it daytime? If it's daytime, then the query is between this and this, and I'm saying morning to night, dusk. And this the how these numbers work is 0 is 0 a.m. and 1 is 12 midnight. So 0.25 is sunrise, 0.75 is sunset. Okay, so if it's this, then go to daytime. And in essence, if it's not this, which is what this says, go to nighttime. So it goes into daytime, and then it's going to tell me, hey, it's daytime, yay. And you could have your entities get up and birds start chirping and different things happening. Instead, most of my stuff right now is at night. So we go over and say, oh, it's nighttime. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say it's nighttime, and then we're going to spawn all of our stars. And so we just have a function that just shoots all of our stars up there, because that's what I want to happen at night. And then I have a system that says, okay,
Well, if it's morning, now it's still within this. So this is still sitting here waiting. And when it happens to be right before sunrise, I want you to put some fog out there. So this puts some fog out there. Okay, and I'm just firing the command for the fog inside this animation. And then over here, we have these transitions, and these transitions say, okay, so it's nighttime. We know it's nighttime. We come in here, and then it just stops. And it just sits here. And what it'll do is the first time it comes into night, it rolls the dice, and it rolls a dice of 0 to 10. And if it gets number 10, then it has a shooting star. If it gets number 9, it has a shooting star. If it gets number 1, it has Northern Lights. If it gets number 2, Borealis, and so on. And all that means is it comes down here, it plays the shooting star, and then it goes back to night right away. Now that re-rolls the number. So you could then have, Borealis or have something else if it picks one of those numbers. If you want this not to be as likely, you can make this 100 and you could just change this number to roll more times or bigger dice, however you want. But this is working pretty well for me right now. So what we have now is we have a daytime system, we have a nighttime system. Well, what about the weather, the rain? So what if I want, after the rain, I want there to be a chance of a rainbow, or I want there to be a chance of a I mean more rain or lightning or more lightning. So if you said weather thunder, for say, let's just say thunder. So I used a command to tell the game to start thunder, right? Now I could also not want there to ever be weather. And so I could say that I want to try to stop the weather. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing that we did before, but instead of using time of day query, now we're going to use the weather query. So we're going to say if we come into state picker, we're going to check to see if it's raining. So is it raining? And there's also a way to do this if you wanted it to be to exclude in water, like if you're in the water, but I don't really care at this point. But we're going to say if it's raining, then you have a chance at making it more rainy. If it's stormy, you have a chance at making it more stormy, and this is the chance. If it's cloudy, you have a chance at making it more cloudy. And then down here, it's if it's not cloudy, you have a chance at, or so yeah, if it's not cloudy, so on. And I'm just giving these percentages, and all that's doing is it's coming down here and saying, okay, well, if we're going to have a clear day, then we're going to set the weather clear for 1500 seconds or whatever, 1500 ticks or whatever we're going to do. And then we're going to maybe put off a shooting star if it clicks that one. Or maybe we're going to have a cloudy day and we're going to come down and we're just going to spawn our clouds then. And then same thing with a rainy day. I'm just going to spawn more clouds. Oh, and I'm going to spawn some fog and some rain splashes. And then on a stormy day, I'm going to really kick it out, and I'm going to kick out some extra lightning, and I'm just going to really push all that stuff. And then on the exit of a stormy day, I'm going to have 2 rainbows and some clouds. So you could even have these be like stormy clouds. And all we're doing is just saying, hey, if we're in rain or if we're not in rain, roll the dice and give us a random chance at doing this. And what are all these functions doing, you're asking? It's just starting a particle. And why do we do it with the function? Because when you fire, this is a secret. I kid you not. I was in doing this for like 3 years before I learned this. So if you fire a particle from a function which is in a BP, then it's fired on the server. Okay? Versus if you fire the particle in the RP on like the entity or on the player, that's on the client. So something that, say like I give myself a staff. I think I have a staff that has particles. Yeah. So I have this staff, and the staff has particles. These particles are only local, which means they're only visible for a short distance because they're client side. Okay? Those clouds, because they're fired from a function, those clouds can be seen all for massive distance because they're fired on the server, and so now everybody in the game can see them. And that's how we get the stars as well. Now, the issue with the stars as I have them set up right now is, you have to have your view distance set pretty high because I have the stars set way up in the sky. So you see just so many more stars when you have your view distance set really high versus really low. So that's something that you can tweak. You can always move the stars down and move the clouds down, and that's another thing that we'll check out here next. So in a lot of cases, you would think, well, this is just a skybox, or the clouds are like some particle or some shader, but they're not. They're literally just a particle stretched really big and randomized for a shape. And then the stars are just the same thing. So look, we're getting closer. We'll actually be able to go through the stars here pretty quick. And this is beautiful. Like, look how cool this is. Like, it just looks so sick. But we can literally go into the stars. And what the stars are is the stars are just layered actual galaxy images that I edited, that I think they're from NASA or James Webb or one of those. And so there they are. That was it. That's all the stars. But they're just really stretched out. And when you look at them from, a really long distance away, they look amazing and look great. Um, but but that's all they are. So let's jump over and look at what that particle looks like. So in Snowstorm, all that is it's just a really big set or a whole bunch of little sets of particle clouds. And so I have a texture that's just some high density clouds or HD clouds. You could use whatever you want. You could use the built-in smoke for the game, which I did for a while. But they're not even, it's not even a super high quality. We could make that much more. And then with this code right here that just says randomly pick, 300 is how big this frame is. So just randomly picks one of the frames. And so that means you just randomly get one of these clouds shapes, and then we pick a random size so that we get small clouds and big clouds and whatever. And then we use our emitter to spawn it out. So we use 6 seconds to spawn some out. Then we kill the emitter. And then we just leave them alive for a good distance, for a good amount of time. Not too long. And then here's the key is they're moving across the screen. So by the time they move at this speed, they've moved out of the player's view and they can kind of like just really nicely fade. So I have the very last color here at the end, it just fades to nothing and they start at nothing. So that way they don't they never pop in or pop out. They always look like they're developing, like the clouds are forming like they would naturally. So, and I'll probably put this particle up on the snowstorm Discord, so people can just get it, but you'll have to put in your own clouds. I'll probably just use the smoke in there by the default. So, but you can get clouds wherever you want. So that gives you a really good idea. Once again, we'll just go over really quick. So we have in the player, we have a BPAC. We list that in the animations. We fired off in scripts with our 1.0. That starts our BPAC going. The BPAC goes in, it uses the state picker to decide what time of day it is. 0.0 is, midnight plus 1 second or whatever. And then 0.5 would be noon, and 1.0 would be midnight. And so this just determines between those, jumps down, and runs what you want with a command. I mean, and it can't be any easier. Really, the hard part is just figuring out this math and getting this to set up right. And the biggest thing here is you got to be aware of the and the or. So I want the time to be between 0.0 and 0.75. Here, I need it to be not that. So the opposite, which is or. So just keep that in mind, because that took me probably 4 hours to a day to just to get that stupid one line right there, to figure out how to make nighttime work. So that's it. And then for weather, we're just using a simple checker. There's no good way to check the weather through a query, and the filter in entities for checking weather isn't reliable. It's really ridiculous. So there's not a good way to check for like lightning or anything. In essence, the best option is this controls it and sets it. So we're setting the weather based on this. So if the game tries to do something, this will just overwrite it and reset it. Okay, and that's pretty much it. If you got any questions, I'm CyberAxe with Outlandishly Crafted, and you can, join any of the Discords, Blockbench, Bedrock, add-ons. If you're not on there, you should definitely be on the Discords, because that's where you get help and that's where you get all the resources. So make sure you jump over. Snowstorm has a new Discord that you can jump into. I've got free particles over there now, so go over and get some free particles. Some of these particles will probably be over there in the coming days. So thanks for watching. I am CyberAxe, and I've lost my house. Oh, let's go to the house. We should end where we start. I'm CyberAxe with Outlandishly Crafted, and this has been a guide on how to do things on time and weather and those pesky behavior packs. You gotta love them. BPACs, that's where all the power comes from. Thanks for watching.